All right, welcome on in, everyone. Hey, a second. Did I just realize? Okay, good. All right. Perfect. All right, welcome on in, everyone. Today we're starting our playthrough of Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, rather. All right, let's see what we got here. Go. All right, let's get started. We're gonna just go ahead and play on adventure mode because I really want to enjoy the immersiveness of the story. And I'm good enough at dying on my own. I don't need any help from falling off edges to other things.
As children, we question the world around us. We learn, we accept, and gradually we lose our capacity for wonder. But some do not. The explorers, the seekers of truth. It is these pioneers who define the future of mankind.
The others, they're done. No amount of money's gonna get them through those mountains.
The lost city's up there, somewhere.
That's gonna be a hell of a climb.
I'm not turning back.
I know.
You should stay here with them.
Not a chance. You're almost there. Wait till you see this view, Lara. Take my hand.
Thanks.
Damn, that is a nice view.
Look at that.
All right, I have to fix something. Hold on. Apparently the game is still too loud. Let's see if that's any better.
It's amazing, but the snow coming off those peaks is a bad sign.
The trail leads up the mountain. We'll have a good view of the valley beyond from the summit.
All right, let's take it easy here.
All right, let's go.
This wind is crazy.
We just need to keep moving.
Hey, even if we don't find anything up here, your dad would be proud.
I know, but I have a good feeling about this. Oh, shit!
You okay?
Lost my footing. I'm fine.
Oh, shit. Come on, catch it. Okay.
That was close.
Lara! Are you all right?
Jonah! I'm here!
I'll climb down there and get you!
No! It's too dangerous! I can climb back up!
That's not... Fuck. God damn it. I knew that was gonna happen. just so good at falling off the jumps.
I'll climb down there and get you.
Alright, just a minute. Alright.
It's too dangerous. I can climb back up.
Are you sure?
Just stay put.
Yeah, we can climb back up.
I need to jump across.
Yeah. Okay. Now grab my hand.
Shit. Well, at least that wasn't, you know, death for messing that up.
Don't worry. I'll catch you.
Only if I make the jump right, dude. Which I'm not making the jump right.
Don't worry. I'll catch you.
Got it.
Gotcha. Shit, Lara. You're gonna give me a heart attack.
Problem was the
you
double
okay?
jump that I shouldn't have done.
Come on.
That's alright. Now I know.
Looks like we gotta go through. Not bad. If the weather turns, we can hole up in this cave. Do you really think we'll find this lost city?
We'll see.
I know this is a long shot, but that old tracker said he saw ruins up in these mountains.
I guess if I was gonna hide a lost city, this might be the kind of godforsaken place I'd do it.
I mean, not wrong.
I just hope Trinity hasn't beaten us to it.
Storm's getting closer. We have a couple hours at most.
Should be enough time. We're almost to the top.
What do you think?
We're close to something, Jonah. I can feel it. Just this last stretch to the top.
All right. Let's see what's up there. Feels pretty solid here, but keep close to the wall.
Okay,
How is this gonna work?
looks like we climb from here.
Keep your eyes open for falling ice.
Right. Let's take it slow and steady. Just stay with me.
Look out!
Shit.
Oh shit!
That was close.
That was close. A little too close for comfort.
Shit! I'm going to dig in. Can you make it across?
I can make it!
Maybe. Oh shit.
Holy shit! I don't think I can make that jump.
Stay there! I'll anchor a line for you at the top.
All right, I'll give you some slack.
She always finds a way to just,
There, Lara. You got it.
you know, get stuck.
Jonah! We made it! I see the ruins!
Get up there. Ow.
I got you. Lara, can you hear me?
Yeah!
I'm gonna pull you back up. Oh, fuck!
There! Over there! Quick! Swim me to the other side!
Okay, here goes. No!
Um,
Lara, I can't hold you. The rope is slipping.
well, then you best get swinging fast. Shit. All right, be right back in a minute. Hey there, Zeke. Let's see. Happy New Year. Wishing you an amazing 2025 with epic streams, loyal viewers, gaming victories. Here's to your Twitch journey on leveling up to new heights. Well, I appreciate that there, Zeke. Caught me as I just got back for a minute. I really appreciate it. Hope for the same for you. Really do. And thank you again. Let's get back to the game here. And try not to die again. Alright. Come on. Oh, no problem. I always appreciate the lurks. Hopefully you're having something good for dinner. Alright, this is where I gotta fix it, otherwise I'm gonna... Otherwise I'm gonna fall again. Shit. Like that.
Quick! Swing me to the other side!
Come on. Alright. Come on. Damn it. Shit. I swear, I die more in these games due to jump timing than I do actual combat. Come on. I'm gonna make it. Damn it. Alright, there seems to be a time limit on how fast I can fall. Or on time limit for how long, when it's gonna make me fall. Shit. I might actually fall again. Shit. Come on. Alright. So we're gonna... Alright. Hope. Shit. Alright. So really only got time for like one good swing there.
Swing me to the other side!
Alright, so too far. I thought I had that one. Alright. Let's hope I can make it this time. Too soon. Fuck yes. Only took me like 4 tries or so to pull it off. But now we got a damn avalanche.
Go back, Jonah! Get to shelter!
Quit looking behind you. Shit. And just run. Yeah. Alright. Shit. How many times am I gonna fall before I get out of this? We'll see. Alright. No. Shit. That was just poor timing. Come on, grab on it. Come on. No. Come on. Damn it. I just needed to move a little faster. I shouldn't have. Come on, quick. Got it. Yeah. We're gonna be at probably. I don't even know. Come on. Could have been worse, honestly. But, you know, 11 deaths just in the start of the game. Mostly from just climbing.
It is the greatest cruelty of life that we're all too swiftly taken from it. We age, we decay, we die. But what do we leave behind? Bones? Dust? What of the soul? Does it endure beyond our earthly existence? I believe it does. A truth lies at the heart of many myths and stories. A truth not of science, but something more profound. The key to unlocking everlasting life.
I'm not sure the one on the left is,
the
but
next piece to the puzzle. But
I know who she was.
I'm not alone in this search. They're following me, watching my every step. I know them by name now. Trinity. An ancient, violent sect with designs on controlling the future of humanity. I must proceed carefully for the sake of my family. If anything were to ever happen to Lara or Anna, I could never forgive myself.
Where are we? Really not sure. But I don't think we're alone from the window being open.
sorry. What are you doing here?
I saw the gutter press was attacking you again. I thought you could use some company.
No lies. Were you followed?
Followed? Of course not. What's going on?
I think I found the tomb.
Oh, you can't be serious.
The myth of the Prophet is real. Dad was right.
Lara, your father was unwell.
No, he was close to a great discovery, tangible evidence of the immortal soul.
I loved Richard. I would have married him if he'd asked. But he was a broken man. I don't want to see you end up like him.
But Anna, he was right. It was everyone else who was wrong. The tomb's in Syria.
Syria? Oh God, Laura, no. This is madness. Get your life sorted. Go home to the manor.
You know I can't go back there.
But this obsession ruined your father.
I saw something. Something I can't explain. Now I understand what Dad was going through.
It's all fairy tales. Nonsense.
Probably not.
Don't go down this road. You know where it leads.
It's the only thing that makes sense to me now. I'm
Good
going
for
to find
you.
the Prophet's tomb, Anna.
Hey, we're heading into a war zone now. We better be sure about this.
We're close. There should be an oasis in the canyon just ahead.
You're wasting your time. There's nothing out here.
Just keep driving, please.
It's your money.
Something isn't right.
Oh, that's just local militia.
No, it's probably Trinity.
You told someone, didn't you?
They paid better than you. Shit! They weren't supposed to shoot at us!
Get us out of here!
Shit! No, no, no!
Knowing anything, it's probably Trinity here. Shit. Damn.
No turning back. It has to be here.
Alright, where are we?
There was something in Dad's research about this.
It was said the Prophet's tomb was hidden in the cliffs above one of the forgotten cities. Legend speaks of an oasis where the Prophet was laid to rest.
Alright, well, let's see what we got. Come on, get up there. There's like...
Something's here. Could this really be it?
one way to find out. Alright, let's see what we got.
Incredible. Some kind of marker. I can't quite make out the translation, but this word. Prophet. This is it. Dad was right.
Let's see what we got here. Couple things to explore.
Some sort of marker. Byzantine script, but I can't quite make it out.
We'll go that way in a minute.
These are the miracles of the Prophet of Constantinople, unjustly murdered by order of Trinity.
Let's see what this is. May as well explore all this stuff while we're here.
Army. He convinced them to lay down their weapons.
Alright. So there's a couple more things it appears to explore.
He's shown here performing healing miracles. Dad's notes mention this.
Interesting. Alright, let's see what we got.
He led his followers through the desert to the oasis.
We're gonna end up having to bust through here.
A secret entrance.
Alright, let's go. See what we got. Damn.
It's amazing.
This is a nice view.
I've seen this.
That's one thing I can say about all these games. The view is really nice when you find this stuff. Alright. Let's just be careful. Because the last thing we want to do is fall. I don't want to add to the death counter, you know, more right now. At least not from jumping. Of course they are. Oh shit. I didn't see that started to fall. Yo.
The Order of Trinity pursued the Prophet and his people
Got it.
relentlessly until finally confronting them in their hidden oasis.
Alright, time to keep moving. Through this probably spider infested, you know,
Damn it. Come on.
cave and everything. Or scorpion. I'd rather have the spider. Damn. Nope. Come on, move. We don't need to be eaten by the scorpions, so let's just go.
was a battle here. Armed soldiers against religious pilgrims. The Order of Trinity.
Of course, it's the Order of Trinity. What else would it be? Wrong button.
Prophet slain by the Order of Trinity.
What was this?
My son, the Order of Trinity has received word that the Prophet's followers are building a great tomb at an oasis outside Berea. But more upsetting, while we thought they were building the tomb for their Prophet, Trinity now believes he still lives. We have learned he is preaching his heresy among the local citizens, drawing more to him daily with his tales of how he conquered death. He is a liar and a heretic, claiming miracles that come only from the divine. You swore he was dead. Have you failed us?
Interesting. We could start with like someone lying and someone's.
Damn it. That was too close.
Hold left trigger. That was close. That was a new kind of trap to watch for.
They're blasting their way in.
Of course they are. Because why would they do anything that makes sense? Like, you know, just come in the right way. Alright, let's see. That's not the way. Which way is it? Let's see. Okay, got it. I know what the platform is there being shot down for.
Let's hope this works.
We made it. Never been good at button mashing. Hopefully we make it. Alright, well, we made it.
Stunning. We made it, Dad.
Alright, let's see. Nope, that's fine. It's gonna... Hopefully... Okay.
Got to find a way to get up higher.
Yeah, we got it. Nothing like desecrating the temple to raise the water. But where are we going? Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Shit, wrong way. Spike trap, okay. What's that?
Damn, they're almost inside.
My lord, what you say is impossible. I myself drove a spear into the prophet's heart. I saw him die. Doubtless his people have propped another man up in the slain prophet's robe to continue his lies. They are broken, discredited, and exiled. We will head south and put the rest of his people to the sword. But the prophet is dead. This, I swear.
I don't know if I believe it, but we'll find out. Let's not go back to the spike trap. I mean, the prophet's probably dead now, depending on when that was written. Shit. Well, at least we have infinite ammo for this part.
Got to raise the water.
Yeah, raising the water is not the problem, it's the timer.
That wall is weak.
What is that?
I should be able to.
My lord, I ride at the head of a small army of the faithful, armed and ready. And I have good news. We have located the tomb of the prophet. We were attacked by madmen upon the road, wearing the prophet's livery, but they were easily bested. We allowed one to flee, and followed him back to the oasis. Whether the prophet escaped death, or whether another now wears his mantle, it does not matter. All will perish inside, and it will become a tomb at last.
We shall see. Ah, okay. I got it. Let's just make sure there's nothing here. I'm missing. It's gonna raise the water at least.
If I could get out onto that bar.
What? Alright, so from there, I just kind of got to do this again. Ah, okay. I see what I have to do. go ahead and try it. Come on. There we go. I guess that's one way to do it. Oh, we made it.
Found you.
So the prophet, looks like we found the prophet's tomb. But that's what I expected.
No! No! What did I miss?
Hey, down here!
Well, right now, we don't have time to worry about what you missed. We got to worry about Trinity.
Set the charges!
The Prophet's tomb. After all this time.
And the artifact?
Inside, God willing.
We'll see, but
Open it. Carefully. It could be extremely dangerous.
oh, yes, it is.
Who the hell are you?
You're a smart woman. I suspect you already know.
Trinity.
Where is the artifact?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't play games with me. You led us to this place.
Look, it was empty when I got here. There was no body and definitely no artifact.
Haha.
Get down!
Dumbass. That'll teach you. Well, that works too. Okay, well, at least that was supposed to happen. Let's hope I can make it off this puzzle without actually, you know, dying this time. Well, we didn't die. So I'll call that a win.
What's this?
All right, now we're back at the manor.
Lara,
There's so much I need to tell you. I don't.
All right, we got an ad about to start here in a minute, everybody.
Yes, but I was followed.
what? By who?
They call themselves Trinity. They tried to kill me.
What the hell is going on here?
Want to give me a minute to go ahead and stretch
The tomb was empty.
and refill some
I think they
water
were
and
looking
things
for
of
the
that
divine
nature.
source.
The artifact your father was after?
There's more. I found this symbol in the tomb. I knew I'd seen it before. It was driving me insane. That's when it hit me. I saw it here, in one of Dad's books. Listen to this. The lost city of Kitesh, said to have disappeared in Siberia sometime in the 12th century. Legend says that on the eve of the invasion by the Mongol horde, it sunk beneath a lake.
What does this have to do with the Prophet's artifact?
The same symbol.
Huh. Interesting.
Lara,
If the divine source is hidden in the ruins of Kitesh, waiting to be found, then I have to go.
to Siberia? Are you kidding me?
Just think, if this thing could really unlock the secret of immortality, it would change everything.
It would, but
Sickness, suffering, death, gone.
Are you listening to yourself?
Jonah, we've been through so much together. You know there's more out there. This could be real.
I don't care if it's real. I've lost too many friends. I don't want to lose you too.
Dad never made the connection to Kitesh. He gave up everything for this.
Including you. Stop blaming yourself for what happened. He made his own bed.
I can't give up on him. Not now. It's all I have.
No, it isn't! If you stayed still for 5 minutes, maybe you'd see that.
that got heavy. All right, we're going to be in a short ad break here, everyone. It'll be about 3 minutes. Thank you for sticking around. I'll be right back. All right, and we are back. Thank you for sticking around. Let's go ahead and keep moving. Seems like she's gonna have a real hard time in this playthrough or this game.
Jonah?
Another Trinity asshole.
Lara! Holy shit!
Try, come on, Jonah.
Stop! Drop the book!
You can't stop us!
Should have taken the shot sooner. Damn.
Shit, Lara. What are we gonna do?
I led them to it, Jonah. If the divine source is real, we've got to find it first.
Siberia it is then.
That's one way to get him to help. All right, now we're off to Siberia, back where we were about an hour or so ago. All right.
Lara, are you there? I made it to shelter.
Jonah? Jonah, if you can hear me, go back. Please don't try to find me. I need to do this alone.
Yeah, that never works out for you, woman. Someone always helps you.
Shelter.
All right. It's gonna be shelter here somewhere.
Keep moving.
But it also sounds like there's some, you know, wolves or something I may have just heard, but I could be wrong. It could have been the wind.
An old camp.
There's an out fire.
Okay. Got to start a fire.
Or a fire pit, basically. Yeah, okay. There we go.
Okay. This might work.
Yeah, but we're gonna need more than just that
Not
one.
enough to last the night. Need to gather more. Dry enough to burn. I hope.
One more.
Fresh kill. No meat, but
Called it. Wolves.
back to camp.
But it looks like we don't have to deal with them at the moment. Unless it gets me when I get back to the campfire. But only time will tell. quite a big fire for that little fire pit. Not fire pit, but
Scouring the ruins in the mountains. If the artifact is here, we'll find it.
And what of the remnant?
They continue to resist us, but we'll have the situation in hand soon enough.
Good. Trinity has faith in you.
Trinity.
and there's a piece of wood to make a makeshift bow, of course, because it's not Tomb Raider without a bow and arrow.
Going to need a stronger bow.
Alright, let's see.
I wish this pain wasn't so familiar. Like looking an old enemy in the eye. It wants to take me down. It wants me to just lie down and die. But I won't. I can't. There's something here. There must be, or Trinity wouldn't be in this snowy hell. I just hope that Jonah is okay. That he found a way back. I just couldn't risk having him with me. Not again. The pain of losing him, that would be too much to bear. This is my path, and mine alone.
Okay, except Jonah's not going to listen to you. Alright, let's see. So we can see what we've got here. Light-colored high top with a gray scarf, ideal for hunting in snowy environments. Non-predatory animals scare less easily, making them easier to be prey. Okay. Bonus, all damage from predatory animals is decreased. So where we're at, we're probably just going to put on the predator stuff, so this way we can stand a chance here. Alright, and then we'll check what skills we got here. Let's see. Brawler, hand-to-hand combat. Hunter. Do crafting and exploration abilities, I think. Maybe. We're gonna do that because, you know, maybe it'll help. Alright, that being said, okay, not worried about the DLC right now. Let's keep moving. What is, okay, so yes, we're gonna have to hunt, which definitely makes sense. Alright. What is that? Find out if I can. It's like a bird. A bird nest of a sort, maybe. Alright. Fine, we're not going to worry about it right now. Shit. Almost fell because I wasn't paying attention. Okay, well. It's fine. Let's just keep moving.
These ruins here. Mongolian. Trinity. They're here.
I mean trees. Alright, so we can climb the trees. Okay. Sound like a bear, but I could be wrong.
Survey team, this is Overwatch. Please respond. Survey team, please respond. We got some...
Nope, not wrong. Shit. Alright. Oh, that's my fault. I should have tried to move faster. Shit. Alright. Shit, what the fuck? I can't shoot it because I have to run from it. But yet it catches me every time. So can I climb a tree? Or is it the snow that's slowing me down? Because they said something about the deep snow. Yes, okay, so let's avoid the snow. There we go. We're gonna piss it off enough. Or flashbacks. Okay, let's see what we got.
Lara, refusing to use the door again, I see.
She always does.
Come here, you little monkey.
Are you going on another adventure?
Yes, my greatest one yet.
Well, I've decided that I should be your assistant.
Oh, have you? Well, there's no one I'd rather have by my side.
Massacre of the prophets of the people.
It's too dangerous. Lara, listen to me. Someday, you're going to make such a mark on this world. You're going to make me so proud. Give me a moment, darling. I need to take this.
Got to bind this wound.
Okay, so we got to get more healing stuff. Okay. Good to know there's health in this game too, like that. It's not just a...
Needs some kind of bandage.
like regenerative thing.
An abandoned Cold War installation. What the hell is Trinity doing down there? Good enough.
Whatever it is, you know it's not going to be good.
Ruins. Looks like the path goes all the way through. Got to get past that bear.
How to get past what bear? Ah, okay, that bear. Let's try to get past the bear.
Those mushrooms. They're death caps. I should be able to make a poison.
In other words, we're gonna poison the bear. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, okay, that's a tree I can climb. But we're going back here to the fire so I can make the poison. Or no, it's okay. Well, hold on. We'll head there in a minute. I see this here.
A crown from one of the princes of Kiev. How did it come to be all the way out here?
No idea. We need more mushrooms. Okay, so that's what we were. Pine cloth or poison arrow upgrade. Okay. Magnesite. Okay. So it looks like there's nothing left for me in here at the moment. Let's move on. Okay, that's just a tree I can climb. Alright, so more resources.
To make something with all this. Should head back to camp and try.
Alright, well before we do that, this does not look like it's something I can climb.
Can't quite piece it together.
Alright, well we'll get there eventually. Right now... Oh, okay, got it. This will be useful for the arrows, most likely. Alright, let's head... Well, let's see what this is. And then let's head back to camp, which is that way. We'll scavenge on the way because we're gonna need resources. Damn. All right. Let's craft mats. All right, let's see. Nothing else I can do there at the moment. Let's see. I do have one more skill point. All right, let's take a look. Take less damage from... Alright, that's fine. We'll definitely go ahead and do that. Oh, I didn't... I should have looked better. Okay, that's fine. That's on me. Alright, nothing available at the moment. Alright, perfect. So we got the poison.
Need to rest. So cold. So tired.
Listen to me. This discovery is too important. I don't give a damn about my reputation. Don't you dare threaten me. After everything I've done? Hello? Hello?
Dad, what's happening?
They're fools!
You're scaring me.
I'm close, Lara. Close to something important. Someday, you'll understand.
I don't want to understand. I just want you to stop. Be my dad again.
Every time she takes... Okay, so natives are running from Trinity.
Keep running! Go!
Holy sh...
Run her down!
You ain't running nobody down. You guys are gonna die, most likely. Well, actually, I don't know.
All teams report in. What's the situation? Over.
We found another camp up here. Fire was still warm.
And you're dead, fucker.
Command, we're fanning out to pick up the trail.
Roger that, but it looks like they've retreated. Primary objective is to find the missing...
Go. Let's loot. Are we full on? Yes, we are. Okay, that's fine. Alright, where...
Shit. Spread the word. The natives set snares in the clearing. They must have planned for us to pursue. God damn it. They weren't retreating. This was a feint. They're still out there.
Alright, are you
Breaker's
gonna...
KIA. Someone's gonna have to cut him down.
It's either gonna work or it's not. Well, it worked. But we don't know how many. Actually, there's at least 2 more.
Get on the radio, see if you can raise the facility. Last signal we got said we were under attack. Nothing. Just a few minutes
Then they retreated away from the facility. This was a coordinated feint. They're trying to spread us out. Phil can fuck this up. He's a peasant. Shit. We're gonna need counterinsurgency protocols.
These
We'll
characters
blow the
look
turntable.
Mongolian, but I can't read what it says.
That we're not really worried about right now.
We're under attack!
Oh shit, I didn't see the second one. Or the third one.
All teams, keep your eyes open.
No.
The natives booby-trapped the woods.
That's one way to do it. Alright, let's see what else we got. Gasoline. Scrap. Alright, where are we going? Okay, let's see. Shit. Alright, so we didn't want to go this way. We messed up.
These characters look...
That's right, we've already...
Mongolian, but I can't read what it says.
Done that. That's right, we can, climb the trees. Which we couldn't do the last game, so... So we had to be on the lookout for this bear.
Damn, it's still there.
Where is it? I hear it. I just don't see it. That's the thing.
Too cramped to fight. Better draw it out.
Shit. And move. Shit. Come on. God damn it, let me... There we go. Alright, got it. Just took me a minute to figure out the, how to use the poison arrows. Go. Perfect. Let's keep moving. It's got some supplies in here. Definitely not against picking up supplies.
I have learned all I can from the carnage inside the Prophet's tomb. My brothers were slain, to the last man, sometime within the last few days. The false Prophet's followers died here by the hundreds, but in the end, they were victorious. I have sealed the tomb as best I can, and told the men of the nearby village that the Prophet is at last dead. I left them with the subtle threat that this place should remain hidden. I do not know if the Prophet survived, but I will follow their
Hold
trail.
it.
No one escapes the Order of Trinity.
What do we got here? Hopefully it's some cool shit. Let's find out. So we got some weapon parts for a semi-automatic weapon. Nothing wrong with that. Not gonna turn that down. because they will come in handy later. Alright, gotta be careful in here.
Shit, that's gonna be cold.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be cold. What do we got in here before we start making the move?
An arrowhead carved from bone. This looks like Mongol craftsmanship.
Interesting. Alright. I haven't actually ever seen a bone arrowhead before that I'm aware of. This is going to be cold. Just kind of glad, you know, we're not
A paisa.
going through that.
A sort of passport. Whoever held this spoke with the authority of the Mongol Empire.
Right now, because I'm not big into dropping into ice cold water. Alright. Good shit, we got another fire, which will allow me to do some upgrades and get another skill point in place. Alright, let's see. One of these had enemies killed or knocked out. Crafted handheld objects yield more XP. Not really worried about bombs right now. What do we got here? Alright. That's fine. That'll come in handy. Alright, let's go to upgrades. Let's see. Gives me a longer hold time. That's fine. Allows the blade to slide further in. Okay, that's useful too. That stuff I'm not really worried about. See if I can right, good to know. We got some, at least we got some more arrows now. All right, let's see if there's a, you know what, because I haven't done this yet. We're gonna save the game. All right, so something to pick up here I didn't see. All right, let's go pick this up. Gift of alms. Okay. All right, so it's up. All right. That went better than I expected.
A Byzantine war galley. How the hell did it get down here?
Probably used to be water at one point down here.
It's Mongolian. They passed through here. I must be close to the lost city.
And we'll go pick up whatever this is. And we'll just keep moving. All right. There we go. this? More gold. Or ancient coins. Probably gold, but... Oh, we gotta get up. We're gonna drown because... Okay. Oh, damn. Because I didn't pay attention to my air supply. Alright. Thing is, that's... Okay. Well, I can't get through that quickly. Unless I try swimming faster. Alright, there we go. Soviet installation, huh? Oh, she's still alive.
I'm not your enemy.
That remains to be seen. You killed those men back there.
I killed them to survive. I suspect you did too. How long have they been here?
Days, at most. The invaders took many of my people prisoner. You should leave this place before it's too late.
That isn't gonna happen.
I can't do that. I came here for something important.
So did they. If I see you again, I'll put an arrow in your throat.
God damn.
You and I are on the same side. I hope I can prove that to you. What's going on down there? Who?
So, there are people who live out here, and they appear to have been here for a very long time, living in isolation for decades, maybe even centuries. I notice elements of her dress, small adornments that would not have been out of place in the Byzantine Empire. Could they possibly be descendants of the Prophet's people?
Maybe.
How much do they know about the lost city or the divine source? It's clear Trinity will do anything to find out. I'm afraid that whoever they are, they're in grave danger. Let's hope the old proverb about the enemy of my enemy remains true.
Let's hope so, but I don't know yet. Alright. Go. Let's see. What's that? Alright, I thought I saw something. Good shit. Let's keep moving. Right trigger.
Nothing I can do for him now.
Oh, I don't have enough wood. Okay.
All units just got word. Constantine is on his way down from the prison.
What's that? Well, let's listen.
We need to get this mess in order before he arrives. Hey, can anyone hear me? God damn it, we gotta get comms back up. We're gearing up. I was on the first flight to Siberia to secure the old Soviet installation now. More arriving every minute. Constantine gave a speech to the new boots, and I stayed in the back to watch. Love hearing him speak. Never gets old. I was never much for believing, but it was just words before. This is something more. It's truth. I was broken once. But Trinity is making us whole again. Giving us a purpose. A new world awaits. Even those who don't believe will have a part to play.
We'll see about that. Oh shit, I almost walked right into the fucker.
Never seen anything like that. Crazy son of a bitch. Rushing 3 armed men with an axe?
I don't know how they managed to take one of them alive.
Who the hell are these people?
Hold up. Gonna check it.
Keep close. What was that? What have we got? You're mine!
Not quite. Although, that was a pretty stupid shot, in a sense, but we made it, so. Alright. The bottles I'm not that worried about. I figured this is where I had to go.
There's more of them arriving.
Scramble between concealment bushes to sink cover. Okay.
Double time. There's ammo in there, and we can't afford to lose it.
Haven't heard any shots for a few minutes now. I think we're in the clear.
Don't count on it. Stay alert until we get the comms reestablished with the prison. We're on our own out here.
That was Constantine's chopper. What the hell is he doing down here?
Not for me to say. They took one of the natives alive for questioning, but it cost us 3 men.
Shit. God damn it. I need to make that. I fucked it up twice now. This isn't gonna end well.
Checking the bushes. All right, this is a spot.
There she is! We got a man down! Under fire! Keep her down!
Not worried about the rope darts right now.
Taking fire!
Now you hit the fucking lantern.
She's hit! Fire in the hole! Got her! She's flanked!
Damn it.
I got her!
Not gonna have the range. Alright, looks like they're down. Let's Pick up whatever supplies I can get. Not my best, but it worked.
Perimeter breach. We've got an intruder.
I know I've taken some jobs of questionable legality, and I know you're not happy about it. But I couldn't pass up this contract. Been trying to get work with Trinity for years. They're discreet, the pay is obscene, and they always have opportunities. Now here I am, and I already want out. We're at an abandoned Soviet installation in the middle of nowhere. No one's telling us low-level contractors what's going on, but I think I might be helping some seriously scary people get a nuke or something equally awful. Honestly, that's the best-case scenario. Ping me back if you get this. I've carved out a secure channel on the network. For an operation like this, you'd think they'd have better security, but I guess that's why they hired me.
Alright. There's an artifact over there to go look at. But I can't do anything with it yet. Shit. Way to help me kill you. Shit. Seriously? This place is much more of why I'd rather have a pistol. But I don't have one at the moment. I don't like the starter bow in this game. We're hunting for parts though, so we get 2 more parts right now, although I don't know what happened to the pistol I brought with me. Come on, up, not. Oh, I see. It was up, but not the way I thought I had to go up. Yo, should have probably looked down before I made this move, but that would have made like sense. All right, where are we going? Okay, got it.
That's it. We're out of time. Shoot him. He'll talk or he'll bleed out.
Hell, a revolver's better than nothing.
The Red Army is coming. I've been tracking them for weeks, watching as hundreds of men build the iron monstrosity across the ice. Men have died. their frozen bodies left scattered in the tundra. No rites of passing, no burial or burnings. These new invaders are cruel, godless men. Do they come seeking the precious metals of the mountain? Or like so many before them, are they drawn here by the divine source? My people must again prepare for war.
Alright. It's one way to do it. I'd much rather have my semi-automatic pistol than a revolver, but a revolver is better than nothing.
They have him imprisoned. Got to.
Oh no. No, no, no.
Who imprisoned? Alright, is there... What's here? Maybe I'll find my other... Alright, got it. Let's keep moving. Opening this door requires a lockpick. Okay, apparently it does.
How's it looking? I'm not sure I can stop the leak. This doesn't work. Let's crimp the pipe and get a new valve. Not sure we'll be able to find spare parts out here.
I left you in charge here.
Yes, sir. But we didn't expect such heavy resistance.
You were to be my eyes. I expected you to see. You must know what is at stake with this operation.
Yes, but no. No.
You don't?
No.
How could someone like you?
Oh shit!
Go easy. Go easy.
God damn.
Don't fear the suffering. Our goal is within reach, but we must be vigilant. If we succeed here, a new world awaits. One of our own making.
Constantine, you're needed back at the prison right away. We've got a captive who might know something about the artifact.
Remain faithful.
I wonder
Share
if
the glory
they...
of the divine source.
I wonder if they caught her, the woman with the bow from earlier. It's at least 5 of them.
What do we do with him? Nobody touch him.
Looks like we got another fuel leak.
What the hell happened? This thing is 50 years old. Yeah, looks like the valve failed.
All right, let's get it shut. We can't afford to lose any more after that attack.
Okay, I got this. Hold that part steady.
Alright.
Need some more leverage. Damn it. Coupling is stripped. You want to give me a hand?
Yeah, sure.
Even better.
Incoming! We're under attack!
Search the area.
I got the biggest threat to me dropped.
She's there!
put that sorry fucker out of his misery. Alright, we got an ad coming in here in about 15 seconds or so. Could be about a 3-minute ad. Just gives me a couple minutes to go ahead and stretch, refill my water, and everything. Can't take any more of the ammunition. That's fine. Let's just keep looking around. Can I get... I can. Perfect. Let's see what's... Okay, ammo's full.
Got to find a way to destroy that tank.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know how to do it. Pretty sure I just figured that out. I just gotta find... lantern. Speaking of lanterns. Alright, we got a quick ad break coming up, people. Everybody, rather. I'll be back in 3 minutes. Thanks for sticking around. All right, and we are back. Let's go ahead and let this explosion finish happening. Thanks for sticking around too, everybody. Oh shit. Cover, because we're gonna get attention. That's right. Alright. Got that guy down. Let's go ahead.
More Soviet propaganda. Night won't prevent us from working.
Alright, let's keep moving. Okay, good. It's a checkpoint.
Constantine is here.
I do have a weapon upgrade.
In Syria. He's violent, dangerous, but worse, he appears entirely devoted to his misguided beliefs. I seem to have a habit of running afoul of religious zealots. I suppose it all goes with the territory.
I'm not interested in clothes.
With information.
Well, actually, I might want to take a look.
I've encountered. And if so, what does he know? Trinity will not be kind in their methods. Perhaps I can find him. Find out what he knows. Earning the trust of the locals might prove useful.
Incapacitated unarmed enemies while dodging. Enemies killed with stealth will automatically. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's see if we have a better outfit available for now. Alright, not worried about that one. Maybe. Firing arrows sometimes won't reduce the count of arrows. Okay. Let's see. Everything is a chance to bandage without using any resources. That could be, well. Alright, for now, we're gonna do just this one, because we can try to save some resources. Alright, let's go ahead and do a quick save again. Yo, let's get back to it. See what's up here. Probably have to go this way anyway from the looks of the gate. Yep.
Not getting in that way without being seen. Must be another way.
Yeah, it's just gonna be the long way.
Don't shoot. I'm not your enemy.
Oh, I was about to shoot your ass. You're lucky you said that. Expected you to come out firing too.
All that can come later. If you want answers, then listen close. We've managed to destroy the old radio tower, but there are repeaters that keep them connected. We need to shut them down. Help me, and I'll let the others know they can trust you. We need all the allies we can get.
Gets me a lockpick? Why not? Some other resources to pick up. Ammunition. What do we got here?
I've infiltrated the ranks of the enemy and learned that they come seeking the rich resources of the mountain. They appear to know nothing of the secret we protect. Those who build the Iron Road are themselves prisoners, slaves of the Red Army. Massive machines now use the Iron Road, bringing more slaves, food, and raw materials for construction of a small city. It is time for me to return to my people so we might plan our attack. If we can inflict heavy losses upon them before they reach the mountain, they may give up and turn back.
Well, I don't know if they did or didn't, but... Alright, let's see, where are we going to next? Alright, well, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up that. That's health. We don't want to worry about health. There we go. See what we can do to... Okay. So we have a decent stack of arrows now. Should we need it. Not perfect, but almost. Let's grab this piece of wood here and this ammunition.
Communication repeaters. Trinity must have installed these.
Probably. I wouldn't put it past them. Man, what is that?
They're not Russian.
I wonder. Let's go find out. Okay, so we can take out their comms. That'll be beneficial. Alright, I wonder if this will be the semi-auto last piece I need for the semi-auto pistol. Come on. No, compound bow. Still good. Which should be much more effective, but I still would have rather had the semi-auto pistol at this point than the compound bow. Combat knife, okay, so... Again, who comes into the freaking woods without a combat... or woods, the whatever, this area without a freaking combat knife? Alright. So... take these out on the way. I don't want to get headbutted by another deer, though, if I can avoid it. It's down there. More mushrooms, some more poison resources, okay? I'm not going to have the equipment to get in there. It's going to require a rope dart. At least, I don't have a rope dart, so we have to skip that. And that was wrong. Alright. Got it. Kinda. There we go. There's another comm unit and a fire. And there's also comm units that way, but we're not going for those ones right now.
has to do it himself, he's not going to be happy.
We'll step up the pressure, but he's clearly had some experience with interrogation techniques before.
You think he's the leader of the Remnant? He has to know about the divine source. Find his weakness. Get creative.
This prisoner. Maybe I can find him. Not quite confident enough with my Russian to make this out, but it
Alright.
seems to show a map of
So
some
we're
sort.
gonna try to find the prisoner, and I didn't realize I was muted, so I just fixed it, but
Heads up, I saw something.
no, we want to do, I don't know if that's gonna work.
Spread out. Keep your eyes open.
Hostile spotted!
Let's go!
Oh shit, where are you? Come on. Fuck that up. But I didn't die, so. Well, let's see what's here. Supply shack. Use Byzantine coins to purchase items from the Trinity equipment technician. Walk up to the items held to purchase. Really? Trinity's gonna sell me shit.
I've been working as a maintenance tech for Trinity out here, but I've got to get out of here. These people are insane.
Ooh.
I've been stockpiling gear. It's yours, if you can pay for it.
I wish I could.
Items, but if they catch wind, or if they see me with you, I'm a dead man. I'll need some untraceable currency in case things go south. Gold, preferably. You think we can make a deal?
I'll see what I can dig up.
Just kinda wish I had enough gold right now to buy some of this equipment. I don't, sadly.
It's not nukes. Creepy looking guy with a scarred face named Constantine gave us a big speech, talked about destiny and something called the Source. And frankly, I'm even more baffled. The other contractors seem to be just as antsy and nervous as I am. But the company men, the guys who've been with Trinity for a long time, they're drinking it up and asking for seconds. It's fucking Jonestown out here. We're preparing for an assault. Against who, you might ask? I mean, there's people here, like natives, lost in time. We're talking furs, skins, and iron arrowheads. We're about to go meet them with attack choppers and 50 cal machine guns. I'm on the wrong goddamn side of history.
Say that again, but at least you seem to be the guy who, you know, wants to help me. So maybe it's not gonna really make it acceptable, but alright. Oh, you know what? No, we wanted to go to this stuff first.
More Soviet propaganda.
See if we can do anything here. Yes, I can. Alright. Gain a chance to recover arrows when looting enemies. Killed by a bow. Steady aim. There we go. I didn't even have to look at that any closer because that will hopefully help. Don't want the revolver. I don't like revolvers. Too slow. Alright. Increase the damage. Right now I want to increase the damage. Alright, is there anything No. Alright. Yo. Never been a big fan of revolvers. They're just too slow. That's where we have to go. Well, apparently I can loot this guy because I didn't. And let's go up. So I need 30, 50, 25, 140, 140. I mean, that's not unreasonable. It's just I've only got like 5 gold coins. Alright, so let's see what we can do here.
Your reports have ceased. Trinity's growing concerned.
We've had trouble with the natives. Our communications were offline, but everything is now under control.
If the situation becomes untenable, we will step in.
It won't. You sent me for a reason. I was chosen for this. I will succeed.
See that you do.
Hey!
Oh shit. How do you... Well, at least she's warm. I suppose.
Lara, are you okay?
Anna? How the hell did they get...
Oh, thank God.
She with them?
What are you doing here? I don't know. I can't remember.
Nah, well, maybe. This game has thrown bigger curveballs before.
I'm so sorry. I didn't think they'd come after you. This is all my fault.
Who? Who are they? What did they want?
The same thing my father was after.
Oh no, Lara. I told you not to do this. Whatever they want, just give it to them.
It's not that simple. Just hold on. I'll get us out of here. Somehow.
What's that?
Don't touch her!
Please. No.
Oh, I know what it is.
Talk!
No! No, you bastard!
Where's the divine source?
Please! Just stop! I don't know where it is!
That's enough. She doesn't know.
I called it. She's in on this.
What? You... No. You're with them! I can't believe this. You can't!
You couldn't let it go, could you?
No.
I knew you'd find your way to this place. What did you expect? It doesn't have to be this way. We seek the same thing. We could use someone like you. You want a purpose in your life. We can provide that.
You've got to be kidding. I've seen how Trinity operates.
Is that a no?
It's
Of course it's a
fucking
no.
way. Tell me, Anna, were you recruited by Trinity before or after you started screwing my father?
Ah, damn.
But he was blinded by idealism, and it destroyed him. What would you do with the artifact? Show it to the world. Redeem your father's good name. You're still so naive. Just a frightened little girl trying to walk in her dad's.
That's what you think.
We're done here.
No. Not yet. You and I, we can still be on the same side of history. Think about it, Lara.
I'm not gonna work with you.
This isn't over. Bastard!
Perhaps that's all he knows how to be.
I thought I was alone.
So did I, but here we are. So what should I call my new acquaintance?
Nothing. I won't be staying.
Constantine has little patience.
Nor do I.
So I see. Nice trick. Can you get us out of here?
There's no us. I don't even know who you are or why you're here.
Probably another insider.
I'm not feeling particularly trusting right now.
You won't get far without me.
You don't know how far I've come.
Not at all.
What do you know about them?
A sect. Ancient and secretive.
Alright, let's just look around.
From what I've seen, they're pretty far from holy.
Alright, so this will allow me to find a way out.
I'll let you know when I think of it.
Damn it. No, wrong button. That's why.
All the more reason to get out of here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, looks like I got my rope
Is there a way out?
and stuff now.
But I found something that might be useful.
And a recurve bow, even better. Alright, are there...
Careful. We don't want to attract attention.
Yes, we do.
They're after the same thing as you. Something we can't give them. It worked. Can you get out? Wait. Let me out. I can help you.
I can't trust you.
We may not be enemies. I can see that. I suspect you do too.
I work better alone.
I know the layout. I know the land.
I'm a fast learner.
I've no doubt of that. Maybe I can offer you something more valuable. I know what you're all after.
They just left the key sitting there.
Thank you. I'm Jacob.
Lara, take this. In case we get separated.
We have to move. The guards will be coming through on rounds any moment.
Alright, we're gonna try to get out of here.
Yes. I've had some time to study this place.
Everyone, let's go.
Long enough to learn that Constantine won't stop until he's found what he's looking for.
The divine source. Is it here?
Trust must go both ways, Lara.
How did he know my name? I don't recall.
What is this?
A history lesson. This place has its own scars.
It was a work camp. The Soviets sent prisoners here to work in the mines. That doesn't look like mining. It looks like an excavation. Those are ancient. What did they find?
You'll have to ask them. We have to go. We are in safety.
Alright, so those are not what I wanted. I want to pick up this.
I've finally laid my betrayals bare. Lara knows the truth. Now a strange series of emotions has gripped me. Remorse, certainly. Remorse for a piece of me that was left inside that torture cell. But something else, too. I know Constantine thinks that I've lost my edge, that my time with the Crofts has made me soft, but he's wrong. It isn't softness. It feels instead like a new kind of resolve. I knew Lord Croft to be an intelligent man. I know his daughter holds secrets in her head. As an ally, she'd be invaluable. As an enemy, she'll be a difficult problem. I must make sure that Constantine's arrogance doesn't get the better of him as we take her on.
It will. What do we got here? Aw, man, I thought I was down to the last piece. We're one away now. Okay, that's fine. Okay. We're gonna try to get out of here. Hopefully.
And what then?
My village is in the valley on the other side of the mountain. We'll be safe there.
Well, let's get out of here.
Last chopper outbound. Roger. That'll be the last ship. Reports of trouble at the communications depot. More natives? Negative. We caught an armed intruder from the outside. Some woman. She stirred up trouble.
Love it. We come out here with no winter gear whatsoever.
Stay here. I'll take care of this.
All right. Hold on. Almost got it. That's it. You're good to go.
Okay,
Let's
move this thing out. Constantine wants to team up at the copper mill before the storm sets in.
I have no... I have no feathers though, so I can't make any arrows. Right.
God damn it, it is fucking freezing in this place.
Let's see.
Panel's fused. Almost got it.
Intruder!
Shit. That didn't work the way I wanted it to. Gotta find... Shit. I'm gonna be in trouble. Alright, I fucked that up. Alright. Can I save right here? Yes, I can. Alright. Well, for now, we're gonna actually go ahead and call it for today right here. Be back online tomorrow to pick up the game, to keep on moving through it. Thanks for sticking around, everyone. I hope you all have a good rest of your day and Happy New Year and everything. I hope to see you guys tomorrow around 12 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for sticking around. Have a good night.